we just released some new features for our Roth conversion enthusiasts, including one feature that is like the most requested feature related to Roths for, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years. I'll show you that in a second. First, let's do a recap of all the Roth things you can do in Holistiplan at present. So it all starts with scenario analysis. Well, I guess it all starts with looking at a tax return and saying, oh, this person's in a low bracket. But we're in scenario analysis now. We're doing the analysis for 2024. And I want to see, I've got this baseline, how much Roth conversion could I do and stay within a certain bracket? A lot of times that's one of the conversations we're having. All right, so I'm going to run range calc. Range calc is running that tax projection over and over and over at different tax levels or at different income levels. And what this is showing me is, yes, if I add some income, I'm going to cause more Social Security to become taxable, but let's ignore that for a second. It's really showing me I can stay within the 12% bracket and do a Roth conversion of like $75,000, all right? That's what the range calc is showing me here. So then I can go back to scenario analysis and I can model that, and we can see the difference between the two tax bills, and then there's other stuff I can show you. Here is my Roth conversion now. I've modeled it. I made it $70,000. And if you are a premium subscriber, you will see this button show up when you do a Roth conversion. And it says, this is the Roth Explainer. That's a new report we made, I guess about a couple years ago now. People were asking us, we need a way to model, to communicate the value of this Roth conversion that I just modeled within scenario analysis. And our argument for a while was, well, you have other software to do that. You have like your projection software. But they were like, nope, want to do it in Holistiplan. So we built a Roth Explainer. It's like a stripped down version of what you're doing in some of the projection engines where you're saying, this is what my assets are. Here's what's in Roth versus not. Here's what my spending assumptions are going to be, inflation, all that stuff. And we can show the difference between a Roth conversion and not Roth conversion. And the thing is, though, oftentimes the difference between the two with just 1 year of Roth conversion is often quite small. And so a lot of people, a lot of times you're doing a Roth conversion strategy over multiple years, and that's what people wanted to show us. So like literally within 31 seconds of us producing this report, people were like, I need a way to model multiple years. But let me show you a couple things that we've added new, and then I'll go, spoiler alert, I'm going to show you the multiple year version. But we added a few things here. One is, I think, just a better way of visualizing, here's how the assumptions that you put in about spending, about income, here's what that looks like. So let me show you, for example, let's say that this person is going to live till 2056, and we're going to say in the year 2040, I don't know, they're going into long-term care, and so they're like a little bit less able to go out and travel as much. And so we can show that up until a certain age, their spending increases at a certain level. Then it's going to drop, but then because of inflation, it's going to keep increasing again. So like we're able to kind of show these shapes, whereas before you kind of had to visualize it yourself in your own head. We also added the ability to add, here's like a pension. If I wanted to say the pension starts in the year 2030 and it's a $30,000 pension, and it's a different, we can put a different inflation number on this versus others. So let's say no inflation potential on this pension. And then you can say there's a survivorship piece. So when this person dies, does their spouse get 50% or 100% or whatever? So I just added that in there. So we added a few more flavors of incomes and expenses, and then also the ability to visualize what's going on with them. And then also one of the things that's come up multiple times I've noticed when people are presenting how they use Holistiplan, this came from not our minds, but the minds of people using Holistiplan as advisors. A lot of them were calculating outside of the system, what is the total amount of difference in taxes over the lifetime if you pursue this strategy versus another? And so we had already had that information behind the scenes in this Roth conversion projection engine. So that's what we're saying here is like the difference over your lifetime is $200,000. Which actually is much more striking than when you look at this chart and you're like, it's not that big of a difference. Well, it actually is a bit of a difference, honestly. All right, but let's do it. Let's go look at the multi-year Roth conversion because that's what you care about. So the first thing that's also interesting about this is it is separate from, let me get back to their household page. Back to household, there we go. You can now create a Roth projection independent of scenario analysis. So you can just do this But in fact, oftentimes you're probably working up a plan for what Roth conversions we're going to do before getting into the tactics of how much am I going to do in this specific year. You're usually mapping out a multi-year plan beforehand. And so that's what we can do in this Roth projection screen. It's very similar to the other one. I mean, it's almost exactly the same, honestly. It's just that now, instead of the Roth conversion amount being inherited from scenario analysis, you are capturing the Roth conversions inside the screen itself. So again, we use that same kind of shape concept. So here I'm saying, let's do $70,000 a year Roth conversions. I could say don't inflate them. I could just say do $70,000 flat every year for the next 5 years. Then in 2029, we're doing no Roth conversions, and then no more Roth conversions for the rest of my life. That's what we're showing here, right? You could shape it though if you wanted to do different amounts. So now we're able to show multi-year Roth conversions, and you're able to see that bigger impact over time because you're doing multiple years. And again, we show that this is your total lifetime project with the base case versus with the Roth, and then the difference in total lifetime dollars, pretty big. And now those are future dollars, but still, that's a pretty significant number. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if you've seen this also. We put this in about a year ago, but the ability to show the difference in required minimum distributions if you go the Roth route versus not. I mean, that's one of the benefits of Roth is if your client doesn't need it, we can actually, it's not just the tax difference, it's also the ability to remove some of that required minimum distributions that may not be needed anymore. So we can show that as well. So I'd say take a look at it, play with it. It's right there for all of our premium subscribers, right there in the household screen. And it should be familiar if you're used to the existing Roth Explainer that came out of scenario analysis. Only a couple of tweaks, again, to be able to shape Roth conversions over multiple years for people. I think that there's a lot of interesting stuff we can do with this screen. I mean, like initially I was hesitant to build it because like that there's other companies that like do this stuff really well. And they will, like that's their business. Our business is tactical financial planning, but the reality is a lot of people are coming to Holistiplan for Roth conversations. And so if we can give people the tools to have that end-to-end decision-making process, modeling, communication, all around a Roth conversion conversation, Roth conversion strategy, I think that could be really valuable to financial advisors. And I'll tell you, like building this was actually not that complicated. Because I think the hardest part about building a projection engine is building the tax engine, right? That's the thing that's actually super complicated because the rest of it is like inflate a number, take money out of one bucket, put money into another bucket. I'm oversimplifying. There's a lot to it. But the tax engine really is, I would argue, maybe the most complicated part of the whole thing. But we already had a tax engine, right? So we're building on top of what I think is a pretty strong foundation. And so I think there's some really interesting things we can do in the year 2025. I don't want to give away the ending of all the things we've got on the roadmap for it. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. I mean, y'all are the ones who told us, like, in no uncertain terms, you needed multi-year Roth conversion modeling capabilities. And so here we are, we've added that. But yeah, I would love to hear what you think is standing between you and being able to do a really complete Roth conversion analysis and then communication at the beginning and end of a Roth strategy. I'd love to hear more about how y'all feel about that. What's here that you like, what you could use, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff we can do there. Anyway, thank you for your patience as we built this multi-year Roth piece. Get ready for some other cool stuff coming down the road. I really think there's a lot of potential here. Thanks.